There we go. All right, so everyone, welcome. This is the pre-bid for 21 DPW 160B HVAC repairs and maintenance. Just because of everything going on with COVID-19 and social distancing, we're hosting a Zoom pre-bid in order to give more people the ability to attend. And as you can see, most of us are not in the office at the moment. The bid was released on last Thursday, so it has been out. It has, if you've bid on the on-call HVAC bid for the town of Needham in previous years, we have updated it and expanded it pretty significantly since the last time we put it out, which was why we felt a pre-bid was important to give everyone the opportunity to ask any questions and work out any issues that we may have. I'm going to give a quick overview of just the three separate bid items in the bid, and then let Barry Dulong, the Director of Building Maintenance, speak more in depth about it. Just for reference, my name is Cecilia Simchek, and I'm the Director of Finance and Administration for Public Services. I'll go around real quick and introduce everyone we have, at least on the town side. Barry, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Barry Dulong, Director of Building Maintenance for the town of Needham.
All right, Andrew?
Andrew Fagan here with the town of Needham. Obviously, I'm a admin analyst working on Cecilia. I'll be sort of answering questions via email for this certain project.
Okay, and Shannon?
Hi everyone, my name's Shannon. I am the Assistant Director of Building Maintenance.
So thank you. As is norm with pre-bids, anything that we say or discuss here is non-binding. So if you do have any questions or clarifications that you asked during the pre-bid, I ask that you also follow up with an email. Andrew's email address is on the bid specs, as well as the DPW admin email address, just so we can formally answer any questions through an addendum. I will indicate that we will be issuing an addendum shortly after this, regardless of any questions we receive, because we do have a couple of changes that we would like to make. Primarily just one item missing on one of the bid sheets. But we'll discuss that more in depth. So this bid is separated into three separate bid items. The first bid item is for preventative maintenance for all of the schools, as well as two additional buildings, the library and the public safety complex. We do have attached plans and locations for all of the pieces of equipment that we wish to have worked on. And this is the bid item that has a missing line in the bid document. You'll see on the bid sheet itself for the Pollard Middle School, there are no exhaust fans, but we do actually have 48 exhaust fans we're looking for. So we'll be sending out an edited bid sheet in the next couple of days. Bid item 2 is for filter changes at only the schools. And then bid item 3 is the more standard on-call maintenance and repairs, so the hourly rate plus the materials markup. We are bidding this as we will award each bid item to the lowest bidder for the bid item. So there is the potential for anywhere from 1 to 3 contracts to be released and awarded based off of this bid. So Barry, do you want to jump into bid item number 1, the preventative maintenance?
Yeah, if everybody could mute. If somebody's got their mute off and I can hear a lot of background noise and it's just, I can't really hear anybody else talking. If you guys could all mute your computers until you need to say something. Thank you. All right, where are we?
Preventative maintenance, bid item 1.
I think in general, this was, I think some of you may know, but it's been a struggle for the town of Needham to keep up with the preventive maintenance filters in on call. So this is why we put this together. I think we're going to be answering a lot of questions. We understand that. We're going to move as quickly as possible to answer any questions that anybody has with what we have presented to you. So preventative maintenance, hold on, I lost, God dang it. I lost the actual bid specs here. Where did that go away? Oh, here we are. Give me 1 second. Okay, what am I saying here? Let's see. See, what page is it on?
19. Sorry, it starts on 15,
19. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
the section
19.
you're looking for.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I mean, I think it's well written out, honestly, so there's not, I mean, there's not much I'm gonna say right now. I think maybe if we want to take some questions, I think would be the best route to go right now.
Yeah, so if there's any questions on the
Yeah.
preventative maintenance, I did mute everyone, so you may have to unmute yourself.
Hey, how about this? I'm looking at people in order, so I'll just go through in order, make it a little bit easier. So DJ Auger, CHS, do you have any questions on the first bid item? The preventive maintenance. I'll take that as a no.
Barry, can I pause you for just a sec? Cecilia, there's someone in the waiting room trying to get in, I guess. I'm not sure if you see it.
There's no waiting room.
Okay.
There's DJ. You're
Everyone
muted. And he's frozen.
Yeah, your sound isn't coming in at all. I do know that the question and answer section of Zoom is open.
Can you hear me now?
There you
Perfect.
are.
All right. So on these filters, what are you looking for exactly? Are you looking for standard rated pleated filters? Are you using higher MERV ratings or?
So if you, the bid has the language of how we're operating. We're using the MERV 8 pre-filters and combination of MERV 8 pre-filters and MERV 13 final filters. Some units do not have pre-filters. They're MERV 13s. And that also is listed out in the language in the specifications.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's because of everything going on with COVID-19, we're currently using higher rated MERV filters in a lot of the locations, but that's not necessarily what we're going to be using moving forward, which is why we kind of left it a little bit more open-ended on just a markup instead of detailing every single filter rating in the spec.
All right, moving over to Premier Mechanical. Do you have any questions on the filter changeouts?
Good morning, how we doing? The only question I have is with the MERV 13s right now, availability is pretty scarce because everyone's trying to convert to MERV 13 due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
First filter change, when are you guys requiring that's done?
Just to say, did we determine that? Because we've just recently been changing out filters.
We determined January, April, July, and October were the standard quarterly filter changes, and we understand that considering this contract will not be awarded until April 1st, there may be some. We're not quite sure if that first round is going to be our existing contractor or the new contractor, just because of the timing and the issue with the filter ratings.
So I would say that I don't want to commit to this, but we could look at this as the first filter changeout would be July, potentially. I think, and we could probably put some more clarification on that, but that's a good question.
Great,
Basically,
and that's it.
We may ask for April, but it will not be held against any vendor if they cannot get filters in stock the same
Right.
month that we award this contract. We understand that that's
We do
pretty
know how
impossible.
hard it is getting these delivered.
Yeah, the MERV 8 shouldn't be an issue. It's the MERV 13s that we've come across on
Yeah.
our big commercial buildings that are an issue to
I
get.
mean, we've even had issues, we've even had long delivery times on MERV 8s, believe it or not, depending on where we're getting them from, but, so we'll make sure we clarify that.
Excellent, thank you.
Welcome. E&E. George? Anything from E&E? No?
I will say to anybody who is either having some audio issues or issues with we can't hear you, or you're just on your phone, if you can use the chat function on here, the Q&A, or my phone number if you want to text me any questions, that might be easier as well. It's 781-707-8649, and I can read them out loud.
All right, where are we going? We're still waiting for E&E. George W. There's also, Cecilia, there's also a official question period. They don't have to ask all questions now, right? They can send us questions via email and stuff like that, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And there's that question period. All right, so George W. E&E, you still there? He might be having difficulty. All right, let's, hey, Eric, go ahead, McNeely, Eric McNeely, questions? All right, how about Terry O'Brien?
Here, water. Hi,
Hey.
how are you?
Good.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions
We got some
here.
questions here. On the filter list, there's no counts on how many filters. They just give us a size, but it doesn't tell you how many filters they are. Want me to move on to the next one?
Hold on, was that, hey, Cecilia, was that gonna be covered in how they were pricing out the filters?
So
Yes.
the filters are, if you look at the bid sheet, the filters are priced just as a markup. We don't ask for individual pricing for all the filters. The only individual pricing we do ask for is the labor cost to actually complete the filter changes per school.
So how does that play into the pricing? If there's no count on the filters, we just give you a filter price?
It's a
One-
percentage markup. So if you look on the bid sheet, it does say percentage markup. So that would be for you guys to decide what percent markup you are going to charge the town for the filters that you order.
I got my microphone working. Sorry about that. So would we just be using the 20,000 on bid form A 2I for the filters markup? So it'd be filter markup times 20,000 plus 20,000. That would be it.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Otherwise, because of the quantity of size of filters that we have, just the variety, we did list them out originally, and it ended up being like 30 pages long for a bid sheet.
Okay, so we're not getting our own filter pricing. It'll just be as it goes then, and we will use the markup as throughout the contract.
Yeah, that's correct. It's similar to any sort of on-call contract where we have a markup on materials. It's the same idea, but for the filters.
Get that? I don't get it.
Terry,
So basically, if we're
Okay.
asking you to order, if we're doing filter changes and we're saying, hey, here's a list of filters that we need, and say you are awarded the contract, then you will price out those filters and say they're going to be $500 for you to get all the filters that we need, and you have a 10% markup on that, then you're billing the town $550. So you're billing a 10% above what you're paying for them. So we're just asking for you to list out the percentage markup that you will be billing the town for any filters, instead of listing the cost of every individual filter.
But you would kind of need to know how many filters you're changing to do the labor part of it. I get the materials part, but to figure out how, if you're changing 10 filters, it's more labor than if you're changing one filter.
hey, Cecilia, would it be a good idea to just send out the filter count for the schools?
I need the filter count.
Okay, well, we have most of it. We just, we can just do a quick cursory check, and so that at least they have a pretty good idea of what the count is per school.
That
Yeah,
would be,
so we can release a close estimate of the number of filters. I'm hesitant to say it's 100%, but
well, at least it'll be in the ballpark. It will help
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
It'll definitely be in the ballpark, but even today, we've struggled to try to get a absolute pinpoint, accuracy on exactly how many filters are in each of these buildings. It's been quite a challenge, but we do have a pretty good list of the filter count. It may not be 100% like Cecilia said, but it's definitely going to get you there.
Perfect.
Okay, is there a list of belts that you have that you could share with us? Because that's
Again,
gonna
that would
be
be,
the PM.
We did provide a list of units for the preventative maintenance, but we did not go into specific detail on what's included in every single unit.
So that would be a no. Okay,
We do not have a list of belts, right?
Right, hold on. I'm trying to find the page, I apologize, but you're asking for a price for MERV 13s, and then you're asking for a price for the MERV 8s? Does
Again,
that,
we're not asking for any individual filter prices. We're only asking for the percentage markup on the filters.
okay, all right, then that answers, okay, that's clear.
It got too complicated to do it that way.
All right, is there any site visit that we could do to see how the access is to some of these buildings? Because there's a, I'm sorry?
We did provide floor plans. It's not exactly, it doesn't really tell you sometimes where the access is. That would be a pretty extensive day, if not more than one day, to get to all these locations. Most of a lot of the access is up a ladder. Some of the access is stairwells. There's different forms of access to some of these roofs. They're all kind of a little bit different from one another. And I know that you're thinking the labor and how, the effort it's going to take to get boxes of filters up onto the roof and then getting them back off the roof, the used filters. I'm not sure that would be be a long day.
I will say the only day, because these schools are all in use and there's staff and students and teachers, and because of COVID-19, the only way that would be possible in order to open it up to everyone equally and fairly would be on a weekend.
On a weekend, okay.
Yeah, because school is in session right now, it would be too difficult with social distancing to get additional people in there for a tour.
Well, how about this? Could someone just send out an email, an addendum, just saying, the high school has a hatch. The Mitchell Elementary has a stairwell that goes up to just some idea of how many.
Yeah, we
I
can
think
do
we can do
that.
that.
Yep.
And that'd be fine. Is anyone doing the services right now? Is this a new program or?
This is a new program.
Okay.
We have an on-call contractor who comes out on call for repairs and maintenance like that, but there's no preventive maintenance program or filter program with the contractor right now.
Okay. And I apologize if I missed this in the central register, but is there an estimated value of what this is going to cost? Have you guys done an estimate on this, what your budget is?
We did. Hold on. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
I got some great questions, huh?
Yeah. Well, we knew there was going to be a lot of questions. This is big. This is a lot of information to bid on.
The estimated cost is about $250,000.
Is that per year? Or is that for the,
That's probably, it's about per year. It's really hard to be quite frank, because of COVID-19. We've used our existing contract, which is just on-call services more than in any prior year. So getting a firm estimate was really difficult this time around.
that's okay. I just,
So
that's
my mic wasn't working earlier, but I thought I heard this. So it sounds like we're splitting this into 3 contracts, all separately based on the low bidder of each. So
That's
filter, okay, all right. So the filters, the PM and the on-call are all separate bids technically within this invitation to bid.
Yes, that's correct. And one vendor could get all 3, one vendor could only get 1. And I will say you do not need to bid on all 3 bid items in order to be eligible to win, to be the lowest bidder.
Does that make sense to everybody? I can't see anybody.
All right.
So just to clarify, are we scratching that bid sheet A and going with the actual list, or are we keeping it the same way?
The filter bid sheet will be the same. The only change to the bid sheet as of right now that I foresee is just the addition of an additional line to the bid item 1, preventative maintenance, of 48 exhaust fans that we did not put in.
At the Pollard.
And we're just sending out a list of all the fans or the filters.
Yes, we're sending out a count for the filters. Are there any other, I'm sure there's more questions.
Yeah, and I think everybody's been moved around. So I guess if you have a question, either put the little hand up or just start talking. Hopefully you don't talk over somebody else that starts talking at the same time.
This is Echo. The question we have is, if it's 3 separate bids, one of them is to do the preventive maintenance on the equipment, which would include filters. But then you got a filter contract, person doing
No.
the PM on the,
Hey, Terry?
No?
No, so I understand, and I think I know where the question's coming from, because typically when you do a PM, you do them during a filter change out.
Yes.
Because they're, either quarterly or biannually. So they are separate. They're all 3 of those are separate. So the PM program, the filters, and the on-call, they're all separate. And we were just recently talking about it is, coordinating that if 2 separate contractors win each bid separately, how does that work with coordinating? Because again, typically you remove all the filters, you do the PM, and you replace the filters with new filters. And if those are done by 2 separate contractors, how does that get coordinated? I'm
Yes.
assuming that's where your question's coming from.
that's correct.
Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
I don't know the answer to that, honestly. I would imagine worst case scenario is the filter people come out early and they change out the filters. The PM people come out and they remove the new filters, do the PM and put the new filters back in. I know that's an additional labor cost, but I don't know. That would be worst case. The best case scenario is that both contractors are on site at the same day. But again, that's, it's kind of hard to manage that because, filters get removed, PM gets done, then the other contractor's sitting around waiting for the PMs to get done. So there's additional labor time, logistics. It's a good question. I'm not sure how to answer it or how to resolve that.
It could be a nightmare.
It could be worst case scenario. It's a nightmare.
So we will
Can you hear me?
clarify in the addenda how the PM versus filter changes will be coordinated.
Again, I'm not telling you what to do, guys. A suggestion. If you make it a 2 bid and take the filters, include that as part of the PM, including pricing. Then you got the PM and the filters as one contract, and then you've got your hourly rates as your second contract. But in order to do that, we're going to have a filter count of some type to price it into the one contract. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, we'll get you the filter count.
Okay.
I have maybe an easier question. Can the second and third copies, the bid copies, be copies, or do they have to be originals?
They can be copies. That
Thank you.
was a much easier question. Thanks.
Are there any minority business enterprise or women's business enterprise requirements for this job? I did see some in the contract, some language of it in the contract, and it's I believe it just referred back to the Mass state laws and said that we have to abide by them. Before the bid, could we get any information on that?
Yeah, if you could also follow that up with a formal question, but it is it'll probably be very standard language of abiding by the state laws.
Okay. No percentages or anything will be given?
Let me look into it.
Okay,
And I'll get-
sounds good. Thank you.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yep, go
Yes.
ahead.
Who is the existing contractor presently having the service contract?
Mechanical air controls.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question too. Greg with Premier Mechanical. So also in the contract, it states that some of these maintenances, depending upon if the kids are in the school, are going to happen on overtime. Do you guys have a specific schedule that states which PMs are going to have to be quoted as overtime versus straight time?
All PMs are going to have to be when the kids are not in the schools, because you have to shut the units down and we can't stop airflow into the classrooms or the school. So
Okay, so anytime during the normal school year, these PMs are going to have to be done on the weekend with shutdowns.
weekends or after hours.
Okay,
We can,
thank you.
they can also be done, so, during breaks as well.
Yeah,
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
yeah, we're losing currently right now we have no school on Wednesdays, but that's going away in like a few weeks, and eventually it's going to be back to 5 days a week. So we won't have that additional day during the week to do the work.
An existing condition of the equipment is up to this date have the coils been cleaned and maintained? Or you guys, is the provider that you have now just doing service, or is he actively doing PMs?
No, right now the contract is that they're just doing service.
Okay, thank you.
Is there summer school that will, affect our ability to complete any work during the summer? With the, obviously shutting down of units with kids in the classrooms?
We will manage around that. Because some of these schools, a lot of them are occupied over the summer, not with as many kids as other programs that happen in these schools. So we will have to work with you guys to manage that. But in order for us to achieve these goals, the schools will understand that there are certain times during the summer that some of the equipment may have to be shut down. They may have to move to a different room, a different part of the building. So, but I'm not going to allow that to stop us from doing the work we need to do, given the fact that you're kind of pigeonholed into certain timeframes to do these PMs. And a lot of it is, over the summer when we have access to these buildings when there's typically nobody in the, it's not fully occupied.
Any other questions?
Yes, on the hourly rate bids,
Yes.
it looks like you have 1 hour. So you have 1,500 hours for the standard time, but on the 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. and the holidays, you only have 1 hour apiece. Is there a reason for that, or?
It's basically to be used as comparison purposes, not because we don't have an actual estimate of how many off hours events we have, because those tend to be more emergency events. So it's really just to compare prices more than anything else. This contract will be drafted as an estimated value, not as a not to exceed value. So if we go above and beyond that, it's not a problem.
Okay, so they're just weighted very low compared to the standard time.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And the 1,500 hours is only for the filter changes, or is it for the PM and the filter changes?
The 1,500 hours is just for the on-call portion. It's an
Okay.
estimate, yeah.
Guys, I get another question. For example, for high school, you got 22 RTUs. Is that all we're doing PM on? We're not doing exhaust fans, we're not doing classrooms, we're just, for each one of the schools where you list the equipment, that's all we're doing.
Correct.
Okay?
We are aware that not all of the preventative maintenance that is typically required or suggested for each individual school is included in this. We do have our own HVAC staff who will be also working on some of the preventative maintenance, which is why the list may not seem complete.
Right. It would be unaffordable for us if we were to do the entire town. I think breaking it up like we did is really going to allow the in-house staff to perform some of the PMs that they were supposed to be performing, but because of the size of the town and our limited staff, it's just, we weren't able to keep up, but this is going to help us maintain what we have now in-house.
Okay. This is not going to be hard to estimate.
More questions? Again, if you don't ask them and want to email them, that's completely fine. The question period is open until, I want to make sure don't give you guys the wrong date. The deadline for questions is March 2nd at 5 p.m. And then we'll issue an addendum shortly after. I will also reiterate, if you haven't seen, there is a addendum 1 already posted on the website. It's solely to push back the bid opening from March 11th to that following Monday, which is March 15th. It'll still be due at the exact same time, the same place. The Zoom link is the same for the bid opening. It's just pushing it back to the 15th.
Okay.
And again, just to reiterate, anything that we did talk about, we're doing our best to take notes here about what we want to clarify, but I would encourage everyone, if you asked a question, especially more of the technical questions, to resend that in an email, just so that we know we're answering your question correctly in the addendum.
Could we be sent a bid list?
Yeah, we can release that with the addendum as well.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I do want to thank everyone for all of their detailed questions. As Barry indicated, this is our first major revamp of this bid, so it is a learning process as to what we think might work versus what will actually get bid on. So we do appreciate all of your feedback.
No problem.
And again, if you haven't already submitted the bidder acknowledgement sheet to the town, please do so. That way we take those lists and make sure that we send out the addendum to each of those individual email addresses in addition to posting it on the website. So just to make sure you're not left off of any email with any addenda, getting that information to the town is important.
I got one last statement to make. I think it's extremely important that you guys figure out this filter versus PM. You know, the three different buckets you got, because that's really going to affect. It's going to affect pricing all the way around on how you stage that, if you would. So, anyways, I don't want to beat it to death, but that's pretty important.
Yep, no, we appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. In that case, keep your eyes open for an addendum middle of next week. Feel free to reach out to any of us. Andrew's information is all on the bid documents. He's kind of the point of contact, the lead for this one. So feel free to reach out with any questions, further clarifications. Reiterating any questions you asked here would be incredibly helpful to us, just to make sure we got them all. and he'll make sure you're on the bid list to get you the addendum. I would also encourage email. We're working sporadically in the office versus mostly remote, so email is the best way to get in contact. If there's no further questions, that'll be the end of the pre-bid. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.